Hey Jen, how are you?
Hi, Phil. I'm really good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Good to meet you again. And this is
Yes, thank you for having me again.
it's my pleasure. It's a second round, right?
Yes,
Second round.
yes, round two. Round
I want
two.
to contribute. It's a contribution. Thank you for watching all the Facebook friend. I just wanted to acknowledge you first. Tonight we are now in the studio with human potential coach. Her name is Jen Hamilton. Communicate the truth, lead to empower and fulfilling life. It's great, awesome title.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
it's a pleasure, Jen. Jen, a lot of things happening now. Before you share, it's a really heavy, really hectic, and so much thing going on at the moment. That's what we're here for. Before we talk about, can you share to our audience in my network who you are and what do you do? Of course, what's your purpose to live
Yeah,
in?
absolutely. So, thank you again so much for having me on tonight. So, I'm a human potential coach. I'm based in Brisbane, in Australia. And really, my message to the world is about how to speak and own your truth and then move into, this beautiful, blissful life, through empowerment and, transcending and, just up leveling in life to just have, the most beautiful experience while we're here on this earth.
Awesome, awesome, Jen. A lot of things going on, and thank you for taking time. And also, I want to thank you again for whoever tuned in. We can call it Jen and Phil show now. And yeah, today it's not. We would share about people, right? It's a lot of people not really calm. Actually, really things going on and everywhere and certain still, even though people going out and people still thinking that what's going on next, what is happening, and what's going to happen again, and things are going on. So that's why we are here now, and you'll be sharing about the well-being, right? Well-being, how we gonna use the technique, strategy, what are the things to prepare for from now to next 1 year, and we got to prepare, isn't it? We got to prepare that we have to build a resilient way to make sure that stay calm, and especially time is a very chaotic time, right, Jen? So just
It
tell
really is, yeah.
what is going on, Jen. Tell us.
There is so much happening. So not only sort of, on Earth, with all of the, the virus, and there's a lot of, riots and protests and just uneasiness. There's a lot of things happening cosmically as well. So if we look at planets, we've got 4 planets in retrograde at the moment. So that's really having, it's taking its toll on a lot of people. A lot of people that are sort of quite connected cosmically, like I am myself. My ruling planet is Mercury. So whenever Mercury is sort of playing up and goes retrograde, I really do feel it. So there is a lot happening at the moment. We've also got Pluto in retrograde. So there's a lot of, when Pluto goes retrograde, there's a lot of darkness that comes through. So there's a lot of shadow that comes through. And if people aren't used to confronting their shadow, then things are going to feel really, really uneasy for them. There's a lot bubbling up to the surface. So when this happens, we're seeing a lot of unrest in the community. We're seeing a lot of unrest within our homes as well. I know that there's a lot of people in family environments that might be feeling a little bit uneasy or perhaps uncomfortable if they're, fighting and arguing, or, things just aren't feel like they're flowing smoothly like they have at other times through the year. And when all this is starting to happen and then people turn on the news and they see what's going on, in society, then there's more unrest. There's fear. There's a lot of fear around what's going to happen, or is anyone else going to be harmed or injured, or if there's a lot of backlash for people sharing particular messages on social media. If someone doesn't resonate with their message, then there's a lot of backlash. There's a lot of dividing. So there's kind of, it's us versus them, or, black versus white, or, whatever. I'm not going to go, too deep into the political side of things, but there is a great divide. And we also saw this reflected a couple of weeks ago when we've been through the COVID virus. and there was a great divide around whether people should stay in lockdown or not. And it just seems to be this separation, basically. So what that's happening internally is we're feeling a separation. We're feeling a pull, almost like away from ourselves, from away from our truth, from, away from the essence of who we are. And we feel like we're just in this fight or flight mode, or anxiety, if you will. So by hanging out in anxious thoughts, we're thinking of the worst case scenarios often. And if we look at the quantum field and how we manifest, our thoughts are what we become, what we think we become. So if we're constantly hanging out in worst case scenario, we're going to start seeing worst case scenario in different areas. So because there is so much going on, there's a lot of people feeling it as well. So this is where we talk about the collective consciousness. So the collective being the majority of people, the collective, so the whole world feeling something. There's not really anyone in this world that wouldn't be, not aware of what's going on. We've heard everywhere. We're all in this together. So if there's one part of the world that's feeling, so much hurt and unrest and injustice and all the things that they're experiencing, we all get to experience that as well. So, and this is where we can talk about, vibrations and frequencies. This is where we all sort of meet each other within that quantum field, in that vibration. So then there's a lot of people starting to withdraw as well. I've noticed, people are, moving away from social media, or, not being online as much, because, being present online, you're just seeing it constantly. You're just seeing the post constantly, or the media updates, or whatever it is that you're following, or people arguing their points. And the thing that we need to remember at the moment is if we want to experience peace in the world, we need to experience peace within ourselves. So how do we start to experience peace within ourselves? First of all, we've got to know that we're feeling that uneasiness first. We've got to recognize what's going on and what's coming up for us. Because if we can't recognize what's going on there, we can't actually change it. So we've got to get clear on what the thought patterns are. And if we don't agree with what those thought patterns should be, if it's not something that makes us feel good or makes us feel positive, then we can change it, because we can easily change a thought process. And I think we've spoken about this before. So changing the thought process, changing the pattern, therefore changing the overall experience that you're having, right? So what I recommend to, my clients and people that I talk to on social media, and friends and family that I'm talking to, is there are a number of things that you can do and drop into that actually start to bring that calm, settle down that chaotic feeling. It could be turning off social media for a day or two. If you're like me, who has, of a high presence on social media, like I'm very active on Facebook, I'm very active on Instagram, there are times that I want to pull away from it, and that's okay. There are days that I can be quiet on there, and that's okay. I'll share my message when I need to share my message, but I might not be sitting there scrolling, endlessly, because it's really just starting to, affect my mind, basically. The other thing we can look at doing is really nourishing and being so gentle with ourselves. Eating really good food. Eating food that makes you, feel healthy. If you're feeling healthy on the inside, you start to feel healthy on the outside. Ensuring that you're trying to rest, so getting enough sleep. Going to bed early, no phone before, a couple of hours before bed if possible. Waking up in the morning and dropping straight into gratitude, and as opposed to picking up your phone straight away and, checking the news or checking what's happening on social media. I find going to sleep, listening to a meditation really, really helps. I do this every night myself. And it's usually a guided meditation, and it helps me just to switch off my brain and go, do you know what? I'm kind of done with the day now. I've got through everything that I could get through or that I needed to get through. Now's the time I get to switch off. And I want to speak into something just quickly as well, on a bit of a sidetrack, about going into just kind of the way the mind works, and compartmentalizing. So it's what I call containers. So if your brain's running a million miles an hour, and this happens to a lot of us, especially at bedtime, because we finally get the chance to just stop, and your brain's like, okay, goody. All right, so this is our to-do list. This is our task. This is where we're at. This is what's going on. This is what we need to stress about. This is what we're worrying about today, all the things. So if we try and imagine there's different containers, or it could be a filing cabinet, you can color code it in your brain. Putting things into categories in your mind that you can just deal with, like pick it up the next day, or you can write them down. I always encourage my clients to write these down. So we actually draw boxes of what containers look like, and then we write down everything that needs to go into that container. If we don't need to be dealing with that container at that time, we put a lid on it and we file it and we pick it up when we need it. So if we can try and get into the habit of sorting through the thoughts that are in our brain, all the, make a list of the to-do list, or, I love having to-do lists on my phone or in the notes section of my phone. There's all different things, but it means that I'm getting it out of my head before bed, and I can pick it up tomorrow. And I don't have to lie in bed going, oh, I've got to do that. I've got to do this. Don't forget to do that. So I use the idea of having containers in my brain. So that really helps me to settle of an evening. There's other things as well, like listening to like rainforest or piano music or something just really, really settling to bring down those cortisol levels and to experience just that more peaceful vibe. I also have a lot of like beautiful house plants. I don't know if you can see that one there. I have some beautiful plants in my house, and sometimes I will just listen to some rainforest music and I'll just have plants around me. If I can't get out for a nature walk, if I'm sort of stuck in the house working, and I just feel into the energy of the plants around me. They're not fighting, they're not, rioting, they're not, being chaotic, they're still a living thing. I'd rather hang out with plants than people protesting in the streets at the moment. The other thing that you can do if you've got a partner, just make time to make love with a partner. Really connect into that special someone that you're with, or if you're on your own, connect to yourself, pleasure yourself the way you would with a partner, to really help move through some of that energy as well. That people sort of overlook the power of pleasure, but that can really help bring peace. So then, there's other things that we look at as well. It might just be getting out and going for a walk, being in nature, lying in the sunshine. If you enjoy, picking up a camera and taking photos of flowers or, birds or something, just something that doesn't require you to be on your phone and active on social media, or really, thinking about what's going on. Turn the TV off at nighttime instead of watching the news. If you're finding it is really heavy, play a board game with the family. Call a relative, call someone via FaceTime and have a glass of wine together. For me personally, when I'm not working, I could be, reading Oracle or like Oracle cards or the tarot, or writing. I'm a huge fan of writing. I sometimes write poetry, or I'm dancing, or I'm, singing, or whatever it is. Or, I could be writing in a journal as well, just really getting the thoughts out of my system. This is how I feel today. I'm feeling really uneasy. Speak into the feeling that you're having. That uneasiness is trying to tell you something. Because what's happening is we're kind of at the forefront of this massive energetic upgrade. It feels like we're going through, an evolution almost. And I know that sounds sort of a little bit out there, but the world's changing. We need to shift past into, this high frequency in order to have a completely different experience. And so there's a lot of people feeling it, and we wouldn't be feeling it unless we're all in tune with it. There is a reason why we're feeling it. It's because we're all kind of upgrading our systems. So if you think about when you turn your laptop on, whether it's a Mac or a PC, and you get the little notification that pops up saying, installing update such and such, 20 minutes remaining, and then it goes 60 minutes remaining. This time that we're in at the moment, with all the things happening around the world, the consciousness is shifting, planets aligning. It's kind of like installing updates on your computer. You kind of just got to sit and wait. You can see the process of it, but you know that it's going to run a little bit better. It's going to run a little bit faster once those updates have been installed. So by understanding as well of just what's going on in the world, you get to then be gentle with yourself, going, okay, cool. Well, actually, there's some things that I am in control of, and there's some things I'm not in control of. What are the things that I can control? What are the things that I can take care of and move from there? The other thing that I recommend to people, and anyone that's really experiencing, anxious thoughts or, anxiety, or if they're, their brain's sort of living in the worst case scenario, one of the best tips that I can give to people is go back to the facts. What are the facts of what you're experiencing? Because we get so chaotic in our mind thinking of the worst case scenario that when we hang out there for too long, we inevitably start to create that. And if we even look at what a sabotage pattern is, because innately we want to be two things. We want to be right and we want to be safe. So if we hang out in worst case scenario and we understand what the worst thing that could happen is, and we want to be right, we actually end up sabotaging a whole heap of things in order to have the experience of being right. And that's kind of a whole separate conversation that we can talk about at another time. But what I want viewers to understand is by hanging out in worst case scenario, it can actually be quite damaging. Maybe take a step over to the other side and hang out in best case scenario. Thinking differently, starting to get your mind to think on a different track. Because when we start moving into a different thought process, we're actually creating new neural pathways in order to think differently, in order to have a different experience moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. That's pretty
Yeah.
useful, and it's of course that we need to be mindful, focus, be present when we come.
Mm.
Right, our mind is it's we have to shift it from the negative thought to positive one. That what can we do? How can we could better? And no matter what the situation is going on, and we got to really prepare and pretty much control. It's all about us and be calm and be relaxed and listening to music like what you're saying. I do all the time as well. The hypnosis is really powerful, isn't it, Jen?
It is, and that's the other, the other option as well is to explore hypnotherapy, because through hypnosis we can quiet down the subconscious mind, that critter brain that tells us all the things, and then in that space we get to load up new things. And I recommend, there's so many hypnosis, clips available on YouTube, or, there's different apps and stuff. But, if you want to work directly with someone, then source a hypnotherapist. It's so, obviously you and I both know how powerful
Yes.
this modality is.
Yes.
But it is great. It is the opportunity to kind of get into, the processing center and change the process, that is the mind. Yeah.
Absolutely, Jen. Absolutely. It's going with the flow, isn't it? Going with the flow. We have to recognize
Yeah.
what is happening in the current moment. We're not denying what is happening.
Mm.
We're not resisting. It's the we have to acknowledge that this is the truth. We have to be really consciously aware of our intentional way. How we going to respond, and make sure that
Absolutely.
we're in control, and to make sure we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Jen.
always reference, I've got a really strong connection with the ocean. And I actually wear a pendant around my neck. It's a Larimar, and it's reminder of my connection to the ocean. And, a metaphor that I use often with a lot of my clients is, when we are going through these tumultuous times or this chaotic time, imagine that you're, in the ocean and you're in the surf, right? And that, if you think of the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast beaches, sometimes, and especially around the full moon, the waves are really heavy. The waves are really strong. You might try and be out there, but if you're trying to swim into them, you're getting dumped, getting dumped, getting dumped. In that moment, you've actually got two choices. You can try and fight the wave, and you can keep getting dumped and spun around, hit the bottom, come back up for air, get dumped again. Or you can hold your nose and you go under the water, you go under the wave, and then you come back up. And with that experience is very similar to how we move through chaos. You can keep getting tumbled in it. You can end up in the whitewash and you can try and swim back into it, or you can just, go under the wave, go under the chaos. You don't have to keep going around and around and, feeling like you're a coin in a washing machine going clunk, 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 clunk. You can, there are ways, to have a different experience through it. And it's all stuff that you can do, for free at home. There's other things that you can do. I mean, you can pay someone to have a massage. You can go for a float at a float tank. Or, you know, I like to go for a sauna as well, like a nice hot sauna. You know, that really gives me the opportunity to just think and, you know, just sweat out any toxins, and just, it's a huge release. And then if I've got time, jump into a float tank for an hour. You know, I love going for massages, even if it's for a short one. You know, there's massage places at, you know, every Westfield these days. It's so easy. You know,
Yes.
sometimes even just as far as going to go get my nails done. I don't know if you do this, but going to get my nails done gives me the opportunity to just feel a bit pampered, to switch off a little bit. You know, just to take some time out of the busyness and the clutter. And, you know, even when I go to get my nails done, I always, you know, ask if it's okay to the lady doing it. I'm like, do you mind if I just put my headphones in? I just want to listen to some music or a podcast, you know. And usually, you know, 9 times out of 10, you know, they're totally fine with it. You know, switch off and just, you know, just relax. You know, let's try and bring down this, you know, collective consciousness of over cortisol brains, you know, with all those stress hormones. So the more that we try and do it together, the more that the collective starts to feel it. You know, drop into, you know, meditation, and, you know, just drop into softness.
Awesome. So
Mm.
absolutely right. So a lot of distraction out there. The more we stacking up all the negative sadness, negative emotional feeling, pretty much going down the downward spiral, going down and down, and feeling is sad and feeling anxieties and oh my god, I'm
Mm.
no good. Feeling slammed down and a lot of things going on. So that it's like a small little things every day, isn't it? A small little thing to stack it up. What can we do better? And we can shift it to the how can we move away from the pain to desire to gain to move up to the positive upward spiral, joy,
Yeah.
exciting, isn't it, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you know, we don't want to ignore the fact that of everything that's going on. You know, it's really good to be aware of what's going on. But having conscious awareness of what's going on means that you can see it kind of from standing back from a different perspective, and you then get to witness how it's playing out. You know, if you kind of stand back and you look at both sides of the story, you know, you get to understand the polarity. You know, that you've got such divide at the moment. There is such polarity. There is this way, and then there is this way. You know, and there's so much conflict. But if you remove yourself, have a look at what's going on, have a look at the bigger picture, you then start to see that, do you know what? It doesn't have to affect you so personally as well.
Absolutely right. So the way how we think is the way how we behave, and the way how we use
Yeah.
words, how we thinking, and consistent basis that will become reality, isn't it, Jen? So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
and Jen, 22 minutes now, Jen. Anything you wanted to share or any strategy that uh, to move keep move forward from how can we prepare in this situation apart from the strategy that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so I think one of the strategies, like all the things that I've mentioned are great. And look, I wouldn't be going ahead and doing all of those things all at once. You know, if we look at where we're at now and where we want to be, you know, in the future, whether that's a week or a month or a year, if
Yeah.
we look at the difference in that, imagine it like a bridge, and we want to build a bridge from where we're at now to where we want to be in the future, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is that bridge from where we are now to where we want to be. So we need to make sure that we're building it with sustainable steps that are actually manageable, you know, that we can actually keep doing all the time. If we wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, cool, I've got to meditate for an hour, I've got to do an hour of yoga, I've got to have green juices, I've got to, you know, go and do all these things, and all these things that I've mentioned tonight, it's going to just feel overwhelming. You know, pick a couple of the things that I've said, you know, go back and rewind this video and, you know, have a look at a few of the different things that I've said, and just pick whatever just feels right for you at the time. You don't have to overload yourself with it. Just pick a couple of them and see what works for you. Start integrating a few of the smaller things into your life where it almost just feels like it's coming naturally, and that you don't have to take any extra time. It kind of just slots in differently. Or you can rearrange a few different things. So you might, you know, cancel out half an hour of Facebook time and go and meditate, or go and have a bath or a shower and just feel that water rushing over you. And so by starting to make these small changes and you start to feel good, when you start to experience change and the feeling of, feeling good, go and tell two people what you did and get them to tell two people. And this is how we have the ripple effect. Because if you start to make changes in your life and you feel good and you spread that message with other people, and then they go and do a similar thing, and then they tell a couple of people, soon there's so many people benefiting from this. This is what we want to do. We want to raise the vibration of the earth at the moment. And people say, well, I can't do it alone. Well, if you start with you, if you start internally, then share your message, and then that's how it gets out. That's how we create the ripple.
That's what we're doing right now, isn't it, Jen? So I just wanted to create
absolutely.
a positive, generate energy that what can we do better? Share. People are gonna view later on. They will watch again what you and I talk about a meaningful way. Contributed. We have to contribute that so society that it's a lot of things going on right now. It's not. We have to present. That acknowledge this is not good, of course, acknowledge that, and how can we going to change, how can we going to shift it, rather than saying, okay, hang on, and we can't do anything and stay home, and what can we do better as a team and as a family and as gather. And you're absolutely right, Jen. It's a ripple effect, right?
That's right. And it's about feeling into where you're at and meeting yourself there, not expecting for you to just, snap out of it straight away. If you want to feel into the hurt of that other people are feeling, if you're feeling rather empathetic, then feel into that. Don't deny the feelings that are coming up. But if you want to start to shift it, then that's, all the things we mentioned tonight is how you go about shifting it, or just feeling that calm, feeling the calm through the chaos. And look, I don't have a magic crystal ball. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. This could end, tomorrow. This could go on for months. This could go on for years. I have got no idea. But all I know is that if I am feeling really good within myself as much as possible, then I have a better chance of continuing to feel good through it instead of getting caught in that dumping wave sensation. By me doing all these things, that's me holding my nose, going under the wave and coming back up for air when I can, not getting dumped in it constantly.
So we can do to shift it from negative to positive one. Then, and do you normally? You mentioned last time you dance as well, right? So you interrupt the current pattern by moving around and shake your body, move and things like that. So, yeah. So when you wake up,
I recommended to a couple of people today that reached out to me just before we jumped onto this call. They kind of said, "What can I do to shift this energy?" And so I gave them a few tips. So to actually literally shift the energy out, I recommended tribal screaming. So we can't all just run off to a cliff and start screaming. So I would be screaming into a pillow if you need to scream. If there's a lot of anger or frustration, scream into a pillow. Stomping is fantastic for you. Just bang, 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 like really stomping your feet. Popping on some really tribal music as well, and just shaking it out of your body, just feeling that energy move, to the point you're doing it, half an hour or whatever, you sit down, you just got pins and needles through you, to actually really move it out. One of the absolute best ways to shift energy in a real hurry is to orgasm as well. And so I've recommended that to people. So whether it's, self-pleasure or making love to a partner, that will help move the energy through. Okay. So there are ways that you can shift it in a real hurry. If it does feel stuck, check in with your body. Check in where you feel it. If it's in your solar plex, if it's in your heart space, there are ways of moving it up and out. There's ways of talking things through to shift that block, because all it is energy stuck in there. So if we're feeling almost like the weight of the world is compressing us and we're feeling really pushed down, it's almost too heavy to move, get up there, get out there and shake it. And then maybe drop into, I recommend some yoga as well. So there's different videos that you can watch, even on YouTube, like pop it up on your, your phone or your TV or something. And then just do some really just sort of slow movements, or, if you're feeling it stuck in your body, yin yoga is fantastic for that, holding a position for a few minutes and just letting that energy shift through those energy centers.
That's really good. So pretty good. We are on time and 30 minutes right now.
Yes,
Anything that you wanted to
awesome.
share, the special bonus, or you want to do, if I ask you probably maybe 3 tips. So what can we do tomorrow, right now, from tomorrow, to do and take
Yeah.
action? So what do you want to do? Give an extra tip,
To
Jen.
take action. Yeah, so I would look, I would definitely write down how you're feeling. Journaling is such a fantastic way of getting things moved. So grab a notebook, just journal, write. A lot of people say to me, I don't know how to journal, I don't know how to write. Well, I don't know how to write how I'm feeling, kind of thing. Well, what I say is just sit there with a pen and just start writing whatever comes up, whatever feeling, whatever sensation it is. It's such a fantastic way of doing it. I recommend really hydrating and nourishing. So go and drink a liter of water. That will help push things through as well. Nourish your body. Go and have a green juice or have some vegetables, like an extra serve of vegetables, or, something that actually makes you feel good. And, go and connect with the elements. Go and connect. So whether it's, earth, air, fire, water, whatever you resonate with. I was connecting to fire last night. I was simply just watching a flame dance on a candle for so long. I started to hear it rain earlier and I was so excited because I just love the sound of the rain. I went for a really beautiful walk this afternoon with a friend and it was by the river. So I was near ocean water. I was out in the fresh air and it just feels so good, just being out in nature. So I would recommend just starting with really simple things like that.
Awesome. Jen, it's a great pleasure to have you tonight, and we did it again. So
We did.
we did it today. I want to thank you, and I would say you're a winner again. Truly proud to have you, and so grateful. And yeah, we can do another one again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to send me a friend request or, hit me up in the DMs if you want to have a bit more of a chat further.
Thanks, Jen. See you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.